Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. So glad you could attend. Step inside, my friends and movie maniacs, as we look at an independent exploitation grindhouse type film with a wonderful title called Fountaine and the Vengeful Nun Who Wouldn't Die. Directed by James Dean, who co-wrote this with Louis Otero, and we get Mary Maniac Nun, as she is credited, but Mary, played by Mallory Stern, who is a nun who, she's trying to stay on the path, struggles quite a bit, but she's trying. But she did have someone who she really cared about who ended up getting killed by some drug kingpin. And so we see how she struggles with her faith and also goes on a vengeance spree looking for justice for the wrongful death of the person she cared about. And we see how all of this winds up in a bloody mess in Fountaine and the Vengeful Nun Who Wouldn't Die. James Dean gives us a very interesting, it is a small budget film that definitely has that grindhouse feel to it, like Hell Ride, and it's a grittier film than we've seen some other grindhouse. Now, what I did appreciate is the fact they didn't do all the whole bad film grain thing on it, but the visual texture that they put on the sets and on the costuming and the way they light things and that just add to that grindhouse aesthetic that you want for a film like this when you're talking about a crazy nun going on a killing spree for justice. And she's not the only one in here that is has the frock and a knife. We've got Jacqueline Tripp in here as Lee. Really enjoyed her performance in here. There's a great dynamic between her and Mary quite a bit. They do get some scenes together, and I really enjoyed that storyline and how those two played off each other. Ron Clower plays Sam, the guy who accompanies Mary as she goes out looking for vengeance. Great guy, great character. He gets to add to the plot. He's not just a sidekick there or whatnot. He's meant to be the voice of reason, or possibly just some restraint for Mary, even though she's not going to listen. And Zara Lind playing Sister Alice, also a great job. The whole crew does well. They know what type of film they're in. Now, that being said, the smaller budget aesthetic that you get with some indie films may be a turnoff for many people. It does also have a bit, I would say, of a pacing issue towards the middle there, where we get some wonderful just what you're looking for, but then not so much. And I know you do need the character development in here, but it's just such a stark contrast that it may take some people out of it. I will also say that it was a little bit tough at times to tell, not too much, because one character is wearing an eye patch, but still, where and who was doing what as far as the killings go. Though some of the killings were great. I liked some of the action scenes in here were well choreographed. Lots of practical blood and gore in here, especially near the end, as the Vengeful Nun Who Wouldn't Die earns her title in the last act of this film, which, you know what, I didn't mind, but at the same time, I think it went just a little too long in that respect of getting the idea across of her just going through so much hell. And I understand what they were going for, but just visually watching it, it got just a little bit tedious at times. It didn't take away my full enjoyment of this film. I still enjoyed it by the end. I loved how it resolved, but there were some rough spots in there that were starting to take me out of the movie. There are a number of shocking visuals in here. It is a grimy film that is not for the squeamish or those who are very, conservative in many ways. So if you like the gritty, grimy, grindhouse stories that you don't mind the small budget aesthetic, I think you'll find a lot of entertainment in Fountaine and the Vengeful Nun Who Wouldn't Die. I enjoyed the performances. I just would have liked a few of the other technical aspects maybe to be shorn up a little bit. But overall, yeah, it's an interesting film for sure. So there you have it, folks. If you have seen this film, leave your comments down below. Love to hear your constructive thoughts on this movie. Please check out our Patreon. I thank you for your support. Until next time, as always, keep that ticket stub.